Um, age-related muscle loss.
All right.
All right, we're good.
Hey, what's up? This is Flex Wheeler with another episode of Flex for Life with my interesting, angry co-host Greg. I think we make a great team, man. Because I'm always kind of like politically nice, and you're kind of just like all in teeth things. Yeah, we even each other out.
It's a yin
But
and yang.
today we're going to talk about age-related muscle loss, which is I don't know, it's part of life. It starts around the age of 30, and it's extremely for people who just don't work out or exercise at all. Greg, give us some numbers on that.
Well, it's like you said, it can start as early as 30. It ramps itself up at 40, and then at 50 it really kind of screws you over because it just gets worse. So what we do know is at that point we're losing on average, and this is your typical adult in the United States, 1 to 2% of your muscle mass is lost every year, and that's compounded. So if you lost 1% this year and it was 100 pounds, you're down to 99% or 99 pounds. You're going to lose 1% of that next year, or 2% of the 99. So it's just going to keep getting worse. And I think the statistic I read was, on average, the average U.S. adult male between the ages of 50 and 80, great job getting to 80, by the way, first topic, because that's
Yeah,
above
no
that,
kidding.
have lost 30% of their muscle mass by that point.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's something I've always kind of argued, that the reason why any type of calisthenics or resistance training furthers your life and your life expectancy, even more your quality of life. I mean, that's what happens as you get older, right? You lose muscle mass, you lose flexibility, and then you're not mobility, and it's just a trickle down effect from that. So again, there's no fountain of youth. It doesn't come in a bottle. It comes in just actually. Sorry, my new addition to the house, Zeus, is fussing at Achilles, which he does all day. Zeus!
You're not playing?
No, Achilles is just so like mellow and not. Zeus is always nipping at him, biting on him. He just walks away, doesn't really pay him any mind at all. And,
Puppy and the old man.
Yeah, exactly. And all Zeus wanted to do was play. And Achilles like, I'm good.
He was always pretty mellow, though.
Oh my gosh. Zeus. Hey. No. My gosh. That's going to keep going on throughout the show. So anyway,
barely hear it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it's so one of the things, though, and you keep saying that, and we've talked about this in the past, the differences in generations, and the one that for us that really kind of blew my mind, I remember your eyes bugged out, was that we are actually older than Mr. Roper was during the first season of his company.
Pause for a second.
Yeah.
Hey.
So yeah, age-related issues. I know it doesn't have to be they found a youth, it just happens, but actually one of the factors they found, and again, we talked about how, back during Three's company, the first season, you and I are older than Mr. Roper was in that show, and he looked like he was 70 at that time. He was 50.
Yeah. Do you get that a lot, that people are shocked about how old you are, that you look younger?
Yeah. I mean, they don't think I look young, but they don't think I look 50 something either.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they found, the researchers found, was the people who maintained their muscle or didn't age quite the same way were people on average who exercised regularly, specifically with resistance training, not running. They actually found, I think I read a little subscript, they found that the joggers and the 5K runners and everything else actually didn't age quite as well as the people who lifted weights.
Yeah.
Also people who are not, and I know I slam them a lot, they weren't vegans, they weren't vegetarians, they weren't plant-based, they were actually people who ate a decent amount of protein in their diets as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their ability to choose how they want to eat, but I think it's been proven over and over again that, vegan, just their source of protein isn't healthy enough with the amino acids that we get through actual meat, and I still just don't know where that comes from. I mean, at the beginning of time, men went out and hunted animals, and that's how they ate, so yeah, I understand our meat isn't the same. The quality isn't the same. A lot of the hormones and stuff like that. But to completely go plant-based, and I know they use the argument about gorillas and everything else. Yeah, but their stomachs are different. The way they process foods is completely different.
Right. I
Jeez.
mean, we are genetically linked, but we're not the same. And
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, they obviously they have some points, like you just said, and we do our mass production industry is fairly inhumane. I'm not going to argue that point with them. Um, but to say, and yeah, if you went from, let's say, a McDonald's typical American style diet to going vegan, you're probably going to get healthier in the short run.
sure,
But
sure.
there's going to be issues, and I think I've done this on I've countless number of occasions on other podcasts also. When I've
Yeah, I
gone out
seen the
to
one
research.
other, I want to congratulate you. Good job on the other podcast you did from
Oh,
Australia.
muscle ties. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
we talked about it for a while, especially
yeah,
about the vegan situation, and
yeah. I seen
it's
you.
the correlate. I'm not going to say there's a causation yet, even though we're working on it, but the correlation between mental health issues and people who aspire or label themselves as vegan is there's a very serious correlation there. So, um, but yeah, that's not to get off topic, but yeah, eat protein.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely.
Well, but they also
And
said, this people in general moved less, they sleep horribly, and they're already likely overweight.
yeah. And speaking of overweight, I know you pulled up the numbers before. Over 73% of Americans are considered overweight, right?
The CDC put it at 73.6% of adults aged 20 and over. That's not even. I mean, I. How many overweight people
You're
do
in
you
your
remember in
prime
your
when you're
age group?
20 years old. I mean, your hormones are raging. It just should absolutely be no reason to be obese. But then again, kids aren't as active as our generations and the generations before.
Well, they said overweight, so that's everything from slightly overweight to morbidly obese. That's the whole realm of things. But
Sure.
you might as well say 3/4 of our population at this point.
Yeah, you know what? And I contribute that to a lot to the fast food industry. Those fast food places, and I don't want to get sued or anything like that, but McDonald's actually goes after kids. I mean, they
Oh,
have little playgrounds inside of them. I remember Burger King when I was a kid. Make kids a king at Burger King. You get the little hat.
oh yeah, well, under the crown. I remember
Yeah,
those.
yeah, you get the little crown and everything. So they literally market towards kids. So as a parent, when you're on a go and your kid's in the back seat screaming, I want McDonald's, you just want to kind of appease them. And they make it easier. You can actually walk into McDonald's, let your kid eat, and then go in the playground and play for a couple of hours, So
Well,
I
now you don't
think
even have to
that
walk up to the counter. You could order it on your phone and it's ready for you when you get there.
yeah, even more so lazy. And I know a lot of other countries 100% blame fast food industries for moving into their demographics and causing obesity because it just, yeah, but it's easy. I mean, you don't even have to, back in my days, you had to order like, let me have a Big Mac, medium fry, Coke. You just like, I want a number one,
Yeah.
I want a number two. It's just simplified.
Well, we have to give their marketing and advertising a big high five. I mean,
Sure.
when 40 years ago you had Eddie Murphy doing an entire skit around McDonald's and how powerful that was, and the fact that when he talked about his mom's like, "You don't need no McDonald's. I got McDonald's at home." And he's like, "What is
Yeah.
Wonder Bread?" He's like, "What is this?"
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, definitely,
But I mean, yeah,
definitely.
you automatically equate the. I mean, again, we could steal a lot of marketing ideas from them on this, but
Sure.
it's a happiness thing. It's a play thing. On top of the fact they're giving you everything has sugar and salt in it, which is addictive. has addictive qualities to it. And like you said, you order number one, then what's the first thing? You want a super size? You want the bit, you want a large or
Yeah.
medium, or they
Yeah,
don't
that's their question.
size.
Would you like to supersize that? And
Yeah.
of course, for how much? For 44 more cents. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just easy. I mean, it's upselling.
Yep. And you get a gallon of Coke with it and a toy.
And a toy.
And
And a
sometimes they're
toy.
collectible toys. I will not deny the fact that I haven't gone and gotten the collectible toys for Star Wars from them.
I don't know how they're able to factor that in, a little toy with the price and everything. That kind of really tells you how cheap it must cost to make those products,
Well, they
that
are,
they can
you've
actually
seen them,
equate
right?
a
They are
toy,
pretty
a toy
cheap.
in there. Huh?
Those toys are pretty cheap when you see them.
Well, I mean, I guess they're mass produced over in
Yeah.
probably some other country.
Well, I know with the Star Wars, when Star Wars they came out with their sequels, I'm sure they paid McDonald's probably for as a marketing ploy.
Sure,
Probably didn't
sure,
cost them anything.
sure.
But just to get back on topic. Yes, you need to eat better and need to work out. And I'm gonna pull up an old video of, not an old video, but Flex, I believe you are in your 50s at this point. Um, but you ate protein and you're working out. Now, this is not a typical average 50-some-year-old US male by any means.
Wow, 50s were great, man. My God, I miss those days. No,
How old are you in this one? This is a 17, right? For the classic comeback?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I was 53.
Okay, so if we're to go by these numbers, you should be, well, you probably BMI wise was technically overweight for being your
Yep,
height. Let's
definitely,
throw that out. That's
definitely.
BMI. And there was some other nuanced circumstances that help with the muscle gain, but
Of
the fact
course.
was, even up to that point, you were still working out on a regular basis.
Yeah, definitely,
You were probably
definitely.
you're not capable of not eating meat, so that I'm sure you're getting your protein in. I think
Yeah.
that was during the EFX days, or no?
No, actually, that was pre Flex Fluid Signature Series.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Oh, right.
um,
That's right.
yeah, yeah, back when
That was nice.
Trifecta was my sponsor, so I was just eating
Oh,
their lean meat. It was absolutely great, man. But yeah, I believe in training, and even looking back at that video, it's like, it just, no matter what, it gets more and more difficult as you get older. So I keep telling people, like, you know, get some control over your dieting and your food intake and your health while you're younger, because it just gets worse as you get older. It gets more and more difficult. Your body actually starts working against you, hormonally wise, everything
mhm.
you have to deal with, kids, grandkids, great grandkids, for myself, and all that stuff. It's all just a negative pull on you. But if you're really grounded in working out, like a lot of my friends are, you stay healthy. And I mean, still, I'm not as healthy as I was back then when I was 53, but at 60 years old, I meet people, and when they tell me their age, I'm like, wow, you really look old,
In
for
your
your
head, you say
age. Of course, I dare
that.
would never say that to anybody or anything like that, because you don't know what they're going through, you
Right.
know.
But I mean, but I think it's just making it a part of your lifestyle, I guess, because it's, again, we're
Yeah,
not saying, there's nuance right there. How many days a week for how many hours were you working out at that point to look like that, which is not realistic for a vast
sure,
majority of people out there.
sure.
But
7 days,
3 days a
six
week,
days a week. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, 3
six
days
days
a
a week.
week is not for 45 minutes to an hour. And I know Lee Priest might jump on me about that. It's not going to turn you into a pro bodybuilder, but to stay healthy and get that resistance training in 3 days a week for the average person, let's say for Q, is going to do wonders for him in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. And especially if you're starting from zero,
Yeah.
just getting active is just going to be amazing. Then you're going to run into a wall. You're going to have to do a little bit more. But to maintain a physique 3 times a week, 45 minutes is by far more enough. If you need a little lose a little body fat, to add in maybe some cardio in the morning, first thing in the morning. But it's not difficult. That's why I keep telling people, Mike, pulling the reins now because you think it's hard now with your life and what you have to do. It only gets worse.
Yeah, and that goes for men and women, because I'm gonna pull
Of
up another
course.
video of someone that was in her late 40s at this point. So again, not average.
Yeah.
I believe she was 47 at this time.
Wow. Mrs. Officer.
Yeah, completely opposite, not worried about competing or anything else. So again, the thing is, it's just this is a part of her lifestyle. Now she does 6 days a week on average. Still does to this day when she's in her 50s, but it's just became a lifestyle. That's something that she makes an effort to do on a weekly basis, regularly.
And there
And
you have it,
it's
Greg. It has to be a lifestyle. It can't be where it's looked at like oh my God, I gotta go to the gym today. You have to love it, you have to embrace it, and you need to be consistent. And that's actually one of the things I find difficult now is just being consistent. I'll get in pretty good shape and something happen, I'll fall off, and then I'm sitting at home, muttering over it for months, and everything goes to waste. And then I go back in and can try again. But consistency is key. But I want to give a shout out to your wife. Congratulations on reaching your lieutenant. I know she's been working at that diligently for a lot of years. So congratulations to Chrissy.
yeah, and she's a watch commander now. So unfortunately,
Wow.
she's back at nights.
Wow. Wow. How was that?
Well, it hasn't started yet, but she just had to buy her a new uniform, so that didn't help either.
Wow.
But
Wow.
that's one of those bittersweet things when you're spending a couple of grand on uniforms, but it's because you're getting a higher pay. So who knows?
So she has to pay for her own uniform?
They have a uniform allowance. I don't want to say too much for what I really feel because they're going through negotiations on a new contract right now for the union. But yeah, they get. I think it averages out to like $40 a month worth. But the Class A. I forgot what they call that Class A jacket that you have to wear because now she's a watch commander, so she has to do command staff meetings and wear that. That's like $300 by itself.
Yeah. Gosh. It's a little lopsided, but
And
anyway.
unfortunately, her old one fits, but those sergeant chevrons were stitched on there so tight that you can't just pull them off because you see like a bunch of like three stripes that used to be there, kind of thing,
Right.
like a tan
Right.
line.
Well, I guess that's a good thing for her to have to worry about, a
Yeah,
good thing for her to have to
like I
do.
said,
I think it's a
bittersweet.
good thing. Yeah, definitely.
What I want to say about this though was obviously that I think that's going to be this part 1A, the hardest part, the lifestyle change to get to the gym. If you're currently going, then there's a couple other things we could talk about. But
Right.
for look in the screen right now and don't lie to yourself. You're probably if you're watching this, you're probably not working out anyway. So
Hmm.
that's something you could probably add on, and we can help with that as well. But the next step is just changing your diet a little bit. And at this point, it could be just adding a protein supplement, like a protein powder of some sort, like flexible nutritions, um, to up the protein amount you're getting on a daily basis. And little tricks like we've talked about taking that protein shake before each meal, so it actually helps curb your appetite a little bit right off the bat.
Yeah. Or something that's a little bit more, takes a little bit more discipline, but always works is pulling back on your carbs,
Yeah.
which normally everybody's eating a little bit too much carbs. And that takes a little bit more discipline, but you'll see an immediate effect by just dropping your carbs down, especially if you can cut them in half.
In the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
But one trick that's always worked for me was taking that protein shake before the meal, which fills you up a little bit more, and then
Yeah.
eating the proteins on my meal plate first, and then
Mm,
saving the carbs for last. At that point, you're filling your stomach up a little bit.
yeah.
If you're drinking some water or whatever, then that helps as well, and you
Yeah.
don't eat as much of it later. So I mean that's a little trick that we'll throw out there, but we're not gonna lie, that's probably harder than getting yourself in the gym on a regular 3-day a week schedule.
It is. And that's why a lot of people don't see results because I use an analogy that going into the gym is like washing your car, and you come out and you eat dirty food. And that's like driving your car immediately back through mud. And it's a vicious cycle, and your car just stays dirty. You're like, but I keep washing it. Um, changing your diet is more important than training, and that's been proven.
Yeah.
That's been proven. Nutrition is more important. How you eat, your caloric intake is more important than you going to the gym. It's always easier just to go to the gym and not eat clean, but if you really want to see a change your diet, and that will definitely change your physique. And then you can upgrade by going into the gym.
So you've had a lot of clients that were professionals, right? They're not looking to do a show or anything else. They want to just look better naked. I always use that phrase.
Yeah.
A lot of them, and you and I both deal with this sometimes. Our schedules can just get out of control. We both have kids, that kind of thing. So, how did you usually break it down to them or help work out getting around the scheduling issue or having corporate lunches because that's part of their job. They're doing corporate lunches with clients or with staff, that kind of thing. How did you help them get around the eating issues? Because it's probably usually good food, but it's probably not the food they should be eating.
Yeah. I'm really hard line. I'm that with myself. So it gives me ground to be able to be that way with other people. You have to make time. It's simple as that. You're the person who's going to these corporate meetings. You're the person who's going to work. If you don't put yourself first and take care of yourself first, everything else is going to suffer after it. It's that same analogy: put a mask on yourself before you put one on your child. You put one on your child and you perish, that's it. So
Yeah.
if you're the main income, or if you have a job and you're taking care of other people and they're dependent on you, you have to take care of yourself first, period. And you always make time for anything you really, really want. You make time for that. You figure it out. So if that's something you really want and you're paying, for my advice and everything, put it to the test. Do it. Be disciplined. I don't have no wiggle room when it comes to that. Even with myself, I'm on myself all the time. So like I said, it gives me grounds to be that way with other people. But point blank, period. You always make time for whatever you want. And you got to feed the monster that's most important. Whichever monster you feed is going to be the one that grows. So if you're always feeding into, I have to do this, I have to do that, that's going to be an overwhelming thing. But if you feed into, hey, nutrition first, sleep, eating, training first, then everything else falls into alignment with it. And it's true. It's simply true.
And I want to, I kind of brought up, it sounded like I brought up the boardroom or, executive staff, that kind of thing. But one group that's obviously near and dear to both our hearts are first responders.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think fire, they seem like they have a little bit of a different culture of taking care of themselves physically, but it seems
Yeah.
like we don't really have that as much or that clearly in the law enforcement side of first responders. And it seems like that would almost be as applicable as it is to
More
fire.
important. More
Yeah.
important.
So it's the same thing, and it's not just your ability to do your job. And I know you have quite a few friends in the industry. Obviously, I'm married to one, which I'm not having to worry about the issue with her. But being physically capable at your top level to do your job, but then also to get past your job and to have a healthy and productive retirement. It seems like again, if you're not feeding that monster, like you said, then you're not going to get as much out of it.
Yeah. And I think, it's just discipline and actually caring about the quality of your life. Listen, you're in a position where you might have to defend yourself or someone else. And everybody knows if you're very comfortable with your capabilities, you don't have to upgrade to other people's levels. You can just let them prant and scream and everything you want. But if you're not secure with your abilities, be it that you're overweight or you haven't trained or you're not physically strong, you're immediately going to have to go to your weapon to calm that situation down. And that's just the truth about just mankind. Just man, you have very dangerous men. They'll let a situation escalate because they know they can go there and take it even further. And it's always known the most dangerous person in the room. You don't know who he is. He's not the person who's mouthing off beating their chest. So when that's your job to protect yourself and other people, I just don't understand how you can't take it serious. I mean, your life can be on a line, or your family's life can be on a line. And if something happens to you, that's a trickle down effect to you, your wife, your children, your friends, your brother, your mother, your father, all that. So I think it's something that um, should be implemented. You know, just like in the army, there's constant training. Even if they're not, you know, in a war situation, there's still constant training, because they know at any point in time they might have to take it there. I really wish and feel that that was a situation for our law enforcement officers, because I think it would be less of a deficit on the insurance and the health problems that they may have. B, it's just going to cost them to be more superior than the people that they're going to deal with, so they don't have to escalate along with that person, because they're very much aware they can take it there if they need to. And B, man, you know, that's our saying. Make sure you can go home at night. That's the
Mhm.
number one thing. And ensuring that is to be able to take care of yourself. So I don't get it. I know there's a lot of excuses why, but they're excuses. And again, it's whatever monster you feed.
Yeah, even s- getting diving deep into this, even the federal organization or administrations and state ones that have what they consider a ongoing physical fitness profile, they've all admitted to me behind closed doors, obviously, so I won't name the agencies, that those standards are a joke, and basically it's not really a test.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
unfortunately, it's in no offense to anybody else out there, but I wonder, you don't really see the stereotype of the fat firefighter, you see the stereotype of the fat cop.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
I wonder, every stereotype, and Robin will back me up on this one, that the bad Asian driver, every stereotype came from some kind of truth somewhere.
agreed, agreed.
So in this case, how many times have you seen an overweight cop on the street alone?
Yeah,
We see it. Unfortunately, law enforcement's getting a lot of bad press right now. I think a lot of it's self-inflicted, but I'm seeing a lot of videos right now with, it's that cop with, the round face and the fat that's coming out from beneath his vest and above his Sam Brown. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, yeah,
And you're seeing a lot of it. Or the cops chasing after some guy and you see them literally fall over just
yeah,
running.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we used to talk about that when I worked for Fresno Sheriff Department. You know, sitting in the car, it's burning hot outside. You're driving around in an air conditioned car, and you know some kid takes leg bail on you, and you got to jump out, and reality hits you. Yeah, and then there's levels to that. What if that person sees that you're stressing now, and you can't breathe, and they turn around and they want to come back and engage you,
Mm.
and they take your weapon, and you know, so there's yeah, I just don't get it. It should be a personal commitment to every law enforcement officer to make themselves better and healthier to be able to handle any predicament, especially in today's times. And you're right, officers get a bad rap. There's more good officers out there than it is bad officers, but we do live in a digital age where things are always videotaped, and the media plays a role in that. They always want to play the negative part of that. There's so many great officers out there, but um, you know, like you said, it is self-inflicted. A lot of things that went on when there was no video cameras, you know, were pretty sad, and now they're being brought to life.
Well, the overweight one is absolutely self-inflicted.
Yeah.
There's no, there should be no excuse for that, because the majority of them came out of the academies in a certain physical shape, and they had to maintain it through their probationary periods. But that's part of the union's argument against ongoing physical fitness tests, is it's ongoing probation. And that's
Hmm.
kind of something I'd want, truthfully, with the job. If you can't physically do it, you shouldn't be able to do it.
Agreed.
But
Agreed.
that's just us. But the problem is, even if you probably met a few people. My wife is, for a prime example, stays in shape, works out regularly, but she's had injuries. Things
Hmm.
happen. She's getting older. She doesn't look like she did when she was competing as a figure pro
Sure.
because of age,
Yeah.
and everything else. So there's hormonal issues. So one of the other areas that we do talk about, obviously, moving more just in general, because no matter what you do on your job, it's a physical job. That's your daily existence.
Right.
You have to do more to lose weight and get in better shape. So that's exercise. So even if
Yeah.
you're a carpenter or, Navy SEALs, their job is very physical, but they train on top of their job.
Yeah.
Um, Getting enough sleep, getting quality sleep. Now, my wife, that's going to be an issue being on night shifts.
Graveyard. Yeah. Yeah.
But there's you still have to work on it. But if you're on day shift, getting 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night, that's not going to do it for anybody.
No.
Losing weight, and again, there's quick fixes there, but again, moving more, eating better should take care of it. But we always throw in that magic vitamin D. I forgot what the actual numbers were, but I'll look at them now. But what are your take on vitamin D?
I mean, I think it's been well known in the nutraceutical world that almost every human is deficient in vitamin D, unless you're one of those people who just work out in the sun all day, construction worker
Me too.
or something like that, or you work out in the fields. Um, and I think you kind of would always jokingly say if you didn't spend X amount of time out in the sun, butt naked, you're going to be deficient in vitamin D.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Oregon State reported that 90% of the U.S. adults don't get the recommended amount of vitamin D per day.
Yeah,
They don't put their deficiency rate at that point, but it's half.
yeah, yeah. And that's just a wonder vitamin. It does so much for the body, so much for the body that and people just are not aware how it's affecting them overall by being lacking in vitamin D because your body will compensate for it. You'll try harder, you'll put more work in, but you're actually working against yourself.
Yeah, it seems like I mean, that's a pretty easy one. It's not like you can get that at a supermarket next time you go get your groceries done. So,
Yeah, depending on the grade. I mean, you do got to be
yeah,
careful of what grade of vitamin D you buy it from. So I recommend a very well-known nutraceutical company. I don't think it's something where you can listen. Cheap is cheap.
yeah,
Yeah, cheap is cheap. You want to spend some money on something really cheap, then you're gonna get something cheap. There's a difference between cheap and less expensive or something on sale, but cheap is cheap.
yeah. No, yeah, I'm not saying go and get it at the truck stop. So that's if that's what they're thinking.
Right.
But I mean, there are obviously there's some quality versions of it you could purchase off of Amazon. So it's not like you have to go
Sure.
out of the way.
Sure.
But I mean, it's from the Mayo Clinic. It links in with bone health, your immune system, mental health, muscle function, testosterone and hormone function, cardiovascular health. It's just basically everything good that can happen to your body. Vitamin D would have a huge spot in. And I think, unfortunately, I forgot what the typical vitamin D bottle says on as far as recommended daily
Oh yeah. Yeah.
dosage, but it's probably not enough. And the majority of the health experts will tell you you need about 5,000 IU a day, which is
Yeah.
probably double what your typical vitamin D supplement gives you.
Yeah. No, I remember when I was a part of another company, we were owned by a pharmaceutical company, and they said when they have a recommended dose, they have to consider that people are going to double or triple that. So they always make it so much lower, knowing that a lot of people think more is better and they're going to take more than that anyway.
Oh, okay. So it's a money thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's a money grab, definitely.
But I would add a quality. We're going to go to quality again, a quality fish oil to that as well.
Yeah, definitely. And that, again, I mean, when you hear about our fish and our current state of fish and how bad our water is, and then the fish farms and how much even worse those are. We're just at a point now globally where you have to supplement your food. You just have to. The quality is just not there anymore. So you definitely gonna have to supplement your vitamins and minerals to be able to meet the normal standard of what we just got back when we were kids.
You know, and there's the reality check for what you just said right there, especially with the fish oil. When we talk about quality,
Hmm.
a quality fish oil is not cheap.
No,
The good
No,
ones
it is.
out there, even on Amazon on during Prime Day is expensive,
Yeah.
but there's a
Yeah.
reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But for you and I, the final cheat code, I guess, or boost, and you're gonna see a ticker up here at the bottom here in a second. Um, some kind of hormone therapy. Now there are some, and we got to give Jeff his flowers on a couple of things as far as a test booster. He
Yeah.
formulated a good one.
Yeah.
Um, we're not
After
really
me.
selling anymore, but
Yeah.
we'll say he did a good job with it. But there's
Yeah.
been
He
some really
used
good
me as
research
a
on
he used
long
me
jack.
as a guinea pig to do that.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It definitely did.
But long jack has been getting a lot of really good research lately. Also, not just with boosting testosterone production naturally, but also freeing testosterone from
Mm.
SHBG. So you actually get it helps raise free testosterone. It's also a cortisol blocker. So it's good all the way around. And yes, it actually would help and benefit if you're on TRT.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing is you don't want all that testosterone you're injecting or rubbing on or whatever to be binded to a sex hormone binding globulin and becoming inert. So
Yeah.
that's where that helps
Yeah.
with it. But honestly, the best bet, especially if someone meant for men like us that are in our 40s, 50s, or 60s, is some type of hormone replacement therapy.
Listen, it's just as natural as women going through menopause. I credit, the marketing industry for kind of making it cool, like just low T instead of expressing everything that it has. But it's a natural phenomenon that's just going to happen. And some men it starts at an earlier age, and some men it doesn't affect them at all. But the majority of men, it is going to affect you just like it does with women.
Yeah, and even if you're doing even if you're like us and you grew up just doing the things like eating meat, I don't think you and I ever not liked eating
Nah.
steak and ribs and chicken and wings and everything else. Hamburgers. I know you love hamburgers.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm a hamburger meister.
Yeah. Oh, Arizona, that cold brews and hamburgers, you must have loved that place then.
Oh, yeah, I really didn't freak with eating like in like bars like that
Oh,
just
okay.
because I'm not a beer drinker. It just tastes disgusting to
Oh,
me.
I
Thank
love ham
God alcohol tastes disgusting to me, or else I'd be all in. I'd
Yeah,
be
that
worse
doesn't help
than
with
you.
aging either, by the way.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
even like you and I who did those other things right, we worked on getting our sleep. We try to move as much as we can. This is something we can't change because it's the aging process.
Yeah,
Now we can help counteract it with something like we do with the replacement therapy stuff, like we offer with Prime Mode MD, where you would speak to an expert dealing with figuring out what you're dealing with, and then pass you on to a physician that actually makes a prescription and checks in with you monthly, and we do tests. So
yeah,
this is not, fortunately, your typical gym situation where it's all back door and black market
no,
stuff. This is all pharmaceutical grade. You're monitored by a physician within our 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 group of
network.
specialists,
Yeah,
our network, and then we also add in the training and everything else as part of the process. So this is kind of a no brainer. I'm going to say that right now. If you're not doing it, you're not using your brain. So
yeah.
hit the links right there. I'll probably put the link in the description. Head over and see what your options are.
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's so many companies out there now doing this, and a lot of them are doing it illegally. That's a massive thing now, and you mess around and you're either traveling or someone finds that you're using it, you find out it's illegal. Now you're gonna have to deal with the law. You're dealing with directly with physicians, and it will be a prescription. You can travel anywhere globally with this prescription, so it's 100% safe. And it's also a situation where if you don't need it, they're not going to write your prescription for it. So it's not like you're going to be a 20-year-old and you want to just be even more jacked. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get blood work done to prove all these things.
Well, the big thing is also that's not the only thing we saw. I mean, we do deal with GLP-1s like Ozempic and tirzepatide and Wegovy. Um, I full disclosure, I am the general manager for the company, and I am not the biggest fan of those substances. And it was a funny thing when we were getting ready for another podcast episode when I was going off on not liking it, and you and Q were like, "Oh, hold on, we're selling this stuff now." But
Yes, you know what? The reason why is it's been abused. It's been abused. People are being misled that they can go on this and never come off. There's consequences to that, and a lot of these people aren't changing their eating habits whatsoever.
definitely
So
not
you're
exercising.
just, yeah, you're just treading water. And if you really look into it, I know this is kind of something that women to say, like, as an adult, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm the same weight I was when I was in college." But your muscularity and the way you looked in college is a lot different than you look there. So you will lose weight, but a lot of it's going to be muscle mass that you're going to be losing along with your body fat in this situation. So
Well, there's also one thing I didn't bring up the last time that I'm seeing now is we talk about on the sports technology side of things. There is a mental aspect of an emotional, I won't say attachment, but almost addiction that a lot of guys
yeah,
and girls will go through. You
yeah,
have to think that there's a mental addiction to these GLP-1s because, again, I get it, and I've heard some people who are on it saying, when they're asked, "Why did you do this? Why did you take it so far?" And their answer back was, "You've obviously never been fat."
mhm,
That hit pretty hard because that makes 1,000% sense. But if you don't think taking that statement and putting a addictive aspect emotionally to these drugs that we still don't know, they've only been around for about 15, 16 years.
yeah.
They're developed for type 2 diabetics, not for your average person to lose weight. That's not
And
type
that's where the anger that I get comes in from you, because it was meant to do something, and they found out the side effect of it will help you lose weight. Therefore, now it's more popular for that reason, instead of the actual reason why it was actually made in the first place.
right. So I mean, for us, we've developed a plan where you can utilize it in the beginning to quell your appetite. That is the hard part.
Yeah,
But then our eventual plan is to weed you off it and ramp it down. We don't want to see you on it for more than 6 months. So the way we utilize this is the way that oxycodone should have been utilized for patients with pain in the very
right.
beginning, rather than saying, "All right, so now you've lost some weight. Let's up the dosage." So that's where we have our issue. But another issue that we found is it's not 100% for everybody either. Our business partner in this, who was a physician, his wife was using Wegovy. I don't think I've told you the story yet. His wife was using Wegovy over 4 months, didn't lose a single pound.
Mm,
Now when we took over with Primode MD, they switched over to tirzepatide. Not a whole lot different, but they also went into some peptides and vitamin D and fish oil and vitamin B12 and 6. Guess
yeah,
what started to happen? Right away, things started to lose weight.
right.
Problem that I identified with them was she still did not change her diet at all. She ate less, but she ate the same foods. And I'll give you one guess whether she actually started exercising or not.
Of course not.
Still hasn't. And her weight loss has been pretty minor considering she's on all these substances, including tirzepatide. It's been like 4 or 5 pounds in a couple of months.
Wow, wow.
Um, Now you and I both know if we were to change her diet, if we were to get her working out on a 3 days a week, nothing major, that would be amplified.
If they didn't start a GOP in the first place and they changed their diet, they would be able to see a change. So, again, you got to start at the very basics. It's eating, and I get it. There's different body types. The ectomorph, and mesomorph, and endomorph. And ectomorph is somebody who's naturally skinny.
Yeah,
Mesomorph,
we're
somebody who's naturally muscular, and the ectomorph, mesomorph,
the naturally fat.
endomorph is like the person who says, "Oh, if I even look at that, I'll gain weight." So I am aware that it makes it more difficult, to lose weight. But still, the bottom line is it should start at the basics, you're eating, and changing your profile of what you're eating,
Well, that's
and then leveling up after that.
right, that's I know he's made a whole industry out of it, but our doctor now from the My 600 Pound Life, that's the one thing I don't know if he follows through. This is really what happens, but when these people who are morbidly obese, 600 pounds plus, they get to him for a program, and ultimately their thing is surgery, some kind of
Yeah,
lap or whatever. He makes them lose weight first. He makes them change their
yeah,
diet. He makes them exercise. I
yeah,
love that. If it's really how he does it, then he
yeah,
is absolutely on the right track there.
yeah. I've seen that before. So yeah, definitely. I mean, you kind of got to wonder with these different TV shows how
Yeah,
it's really
that's why I
ran.
said
But
if it's how it's done.
yeah, but if it is the way he's doing it, of course, because it puts them on a regimen that even after their surgery, they're going to have to maintain
Mhm.
that diet, because it's very well known if you go back just to eating the way you were, you will blow back up.
Yeah,
Again,
and I think he knows the statistics on gastric bypass and lap band surgery. It's the people, the percentages afterwards are still not good. They initially lose weight, but a lot of them gain it back. But my big thing, and we kind of gear more towards men in our age group anyway. The one thing I always ask the dad bod situation, what are you really shooting for in those situations? And it just for us, I mean, there's tirzepatides and everything else. It's really not that big a deal because honestly, if we get them on the hormone replacement therapy, one of the benefits of TRT is weight loss and
yeah,
fat loss
yeah,
and heart health and everything else. So it really comes down to, do you want to look like Leonardo DiCaprio in the 90s or Leonardo DiCaprio now? Don't know. Hopefully, if you're watching this on YouTube, do the Google search now. One of the big memes was all of us back in the 90s, we wanted to look like Britney and Leo, and now we do.
yeah,
That's the joke.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that's a deep one. Um,
Deep as a puddle.
Jeez, dude, you're awful,
Um,
man.
but yeah, it's honestly, Flex and I, we went in full bore and full support of Primode MD as much as we went in as Flex is the most skeptical person in the world on some of these products. He
Yeah,
went in on this as quickly as he went in on, or as strong as he went in on hemp CBD gels, and that
yeah,
stuff he literally tried to avoid Farard. Like Farard was hunting him down like MI6, and he was a terrorist. He was,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that stuff just magically works. And we'll probably do a
yeah.
show on that one.
Oh, we got to
But
bring
with
Farad on
Primode
and have
MD,
him tell that story.
this is something that you just guys, if you went to high school in the 80s, definitely went to high school in the 70s. This is something you should look into, and I think Flex would agree with me on that.
100%. I tell the story after I had retired. You know, I was just done. I just went cold turkey, and after a couple of years,
Did you? You ever told me that?
yeah, I just
Oh,
went cold turkey. Geez, I was like done with it. Just completely
I
done
know
with
you
it.
did
And
tell me
it was brought to my attention of how I had changed so dramatically, and went in and had my blood work done, and my testosterone was 71. And I remember telling the doctor, like, "Oh, okay, I'm good with it. I don't care about muscle or anything else." And that's when he went down a line of the negative connotations health wise that comes along with that: bone density,
heart health.
mental health, fat, all those things. He's like, it's not what if there it's you definitely have to go on hormone replacement. And I remember, we had Darius, and he's like, your son, your 9-month-old son testosterone's higher than yours. And that's when it really hit me. But yeah, obviously mine was due to the long utilization of sports technology drugs.
Yeah,
But it's just a natural phenomenon that happens with men, just like menopause happens with women. It's a hormonal imbalance. And even a lot of women end up having to go on some form of testosterone also, because it's a hormone loss for them.
right. Nuts. You don't have to be a former pro bodybuilder to have this happen. There's the meme, by the way.
Wow. Wow.
Now,
Wow.
Leo was always just kind of a skinny guy, right? And he looked like he needed
Yeah.
injections, whatever. But how many people were lusting after Britney Spears and her body back in the 90s?
I wasn't, but yeah, I hear
You know
you.
what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Wow, Leo, man, life hits you, bro. It hits you.
I mean, I'm sure he's not crying with his bank account, but at the same time,
Yeah, but you know what? That's one thing that I've noticed. People who have money lust after or look more so, and people who don't have money, who has the physique, it's the opposite. So yep, you're just never happy,
yeah.
that driven person is just never happy. But I really notice that a lot in people who have money. They'll go and have surgeries done instead of just the basics of changing their diet, because their discipline comes in.
Well, I like the saying, it was, who would you trust first, a man with 11 kids or a man with $11 million? And he said, the man with 11 kids, he doesn't want any more. The man with
Yeah,
11 million always wants more.
always wants more. Definitely, that's a good one.
But yeah, so obviously you can hit us up, DM us, whatever. We'll give you the information on that one, but that's something we fully believe in. But moving on from that, we got a couple quick
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah,
The state
it's
of our
kind of a
industry,
sad
because
one.
we make a lot of content, right? We're involved heavily in the social media side of things, and we're involved with training apps and all that kind of stuff and putting fitness advice out there. What I like about you and guys from, I don't want to say your era because it makes us all sound old, but bodybuilders in
I
general,
am.
they seem fairly positive. They said, I might not like this style thing, or I might not subscribe to this, but this is what I do. And, use what works best for you. And I've seen that same thing from you, from Ronnie, from Jay. Seems like the most laid back guy in the world for what he's accomplished. Same thing with, Nick Walker. I made the joke earlier. He literally looks like someone the bad guy in a Marvel movie would send after you to kill Iron Man.
Right.
But he seems like a pretty chill guy, and
Yeah,
C-Bomb
he
same way.
is. Yeah.
But what I'm seeing a lot of on the social media side, where they're trying to market their training programs, is rather than saying, here's what I would do, really geared towards, like us, we're geared towards those older men that are kind of aging. They're going after target clients, saying, this is how I would help you out, this is my philosophy, put yourself out there. They do more of this. They basically go through social media. I'm not even going to black out his name because I think these people need to be called out a little bit, but they basically just go and say what everybody else is doing wrong and badmouth them. This guy, look at this. This doesn't work. This is stupid. He's an idiot. Um, and it's getting to the point where this guy even goes as far as to go after just people on a personal level who have nothing to do with fitness, even, and how they're overweight, they're fat, and they're worthless.
Hmm.
He went after someone for food insecurity issues who was overweight, but she's talking about how she's not sure where her next meal come from. She doesn't want to go hungry, and her kids to go hungry. And all he can go with was, you have plenty of fat to burn off of for a couple months. You don't have to worry about it. Oh,
Yeah.
sign up for my program to work out and get jacked.
Yeah. No, Greg, it boils down to respect. 100% it boils down to respect. So when you mentioned those names of athletes, we've accomplished something in life, and we respect other people who've accomplished something in life. And even if they took a different route, and they still got to the destination of accomplishing something, we just respect it, each other. And I think that's just something that just came from our era, just respect. I mean, the fact is, back in my era, if you did disrespect a mouth off to a person, they weren't going to come back and talk to you. They're going to come back with their hands. So it's I hate to say it, but it's kind of that prison mentality. It's all
Yeah.
about respect in there, or its consequences. We live in a world now where, yeah, it's freedom of speech, but also you got to recognize that somebody might want to come in and freely express themselves in a different way. So these people on the internet, the majority of them who are putting other people down, haven't accomplished anything in life. That is their claim, is to go after other people and try to make a living off of that. It's not respectful whatsoever. um I just don't, I just don't believe in it. If I ever, say something negative about a person, I expect for them to come back and want to have a conversation with me.
Right.
It's just something that it's not necessary. And I use this analogy that if two guys were shooting after the same girl, and the one guy was always just putting the other guy down, it shows your weakness immediately. Oh, really? So you can't just speak up for yourself and lay your game work down and let her pick or choose. That shows a weakness in that, and that's what these guys are doing. They're trying to climb off the backs of other people, um, by doing disrespectful, and that's kind of a world we live in now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like sometimes if you go to a fitness show, the person who's disrespectful probably has the longest queue. And I think, again, it's that mentality. Unfortunately, there's more people who will drive by and flip you off than people who would walk right up to your face and flip you off. So there you have it, and that's why they have a greater following, or are recognized more, because there's more like-minded people out there in the world today.
Well, maybe because I mean, last time we went, last year's Fit Expo, CT had a huge queue, and he's boisterous, but I've never seen him be fully disrespectful towards anybody else.
Yeah.
Same thing with, I mean, Ronnie's. You can't tell me
Oh
Ronnie
yeah.
doesn't have small queues. You don't have small queues. I mean,
Yeah.
at the Arnold Expo in UK, yours was like a day long,
Yeah.
and same,
We've achieved something.
right?
I'm talking about the guys who don't. They haven't achieved anything, so they take the route of being disrespectful and mouthful, and talking about steroids, and
Yeah,
and being, what they run, and all these various different things. That's how they get there. We got there by another route of just putting in hard work, and being dedicated to our craft. These other people, they're not dedicated to anything. None of them have any degrees. None of them have achieved anything in life as far as sports or business. That is their business, of putting other
yeah.
people down.
I think that's just my point to this whole conversation was I hate the way that the industry has gone to where that's what's gaining traction. Because if you look close enough, those guys, they both had tens of thousands of followers, close to 100,000. So too many people are buying into it, and I think it's unfortunately we're getting towards the society where it's easier and more comfortable to bring someone else down and to hate something versus working towards something and have it be positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think that's where we've gotten to where we've gotten in the world right now.
No, like, it's perfect example. There's more people who would drive by, call you a derogatory word, or drive by and just give you the finger, than it is people who will walk up to you and let you know how they feel. And that's why they're gaining more traction now.
Yeah.
It's because there's a lot of like-minded people out there like that.
Yeah. So what's our final word on that one? Just be better. Go watch the Superman movie. You'll want to be a better person.
The truth is, um, like, I can't I can't steal another person's followers.
Right.
They believe in that person. It is what it is. Those type of people, they're going to have their following. They're going to have their numbers. My thing is, I don't. They're not even on my radar of life. I might come across their page and see some of the disrespectful things they're saying, but they're not even on my radar of life. I mean, it's like a one time I'll see them, and I'll know for the rest of the time to avoid them. Or if I meet those type of people, I already know what type of energy they're bringing, and it's just a one time encounter. They're not even on my radar. So hey, you know what? Like you said, that is the world we live in, and there's going to be people who migrate towards those type of people. But
Yeah.
I still think there's other, great people out here in the world. And at the end of the day, man, really, it's about respect, man. You might have somebody come back and holler at you in a whole different type of way based on what you said about them. We're born in different racial demographics, financial demographics, and you know, I grew up in a neighborhood. If you said something negative about a person, when they see you, it ain't no words at all. They coming to you physically. And that's the era that I grew up. And that's the reason why I respect people now, is for that same reason. You have people now that, oh, I have a right to, I have a right to, to say this. Okay. Um, that person might have a right to come back at you in a whole different type of way.
You
So
know,
be careful.
Mike Tyson said it best. I think what I tell, especially my girls, I want them to watch this one documentary on a woman called, her name was Claire Wineland. She was a cystic fibrosis. She suffered from cystic fibrosis. She died at 21
Mm,
when she was going for her first lung transplant. But she ran a foundation. She was way wise beyond her years, obviously. But one of the things she said was, be the person that the 13-year-old you would look up to. I think that's the best way to look at it.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
transitioning from that to someone that we both used to watch that looks like he's having some more trouble. I want to get your take on this from the world of sports. BJ Penn was arrested again for a third-degree assault, his sixth arrest in 2025 alone. Apparently got into a physical altercation with an older gentleman and threatened himself without incident, but 6 arrests for violent situations in 1 year. Um, we used to be hardcore UFC fans. I'm not so much anymore. I don't know if you're still watching it, but what's your take on BJ, who still should be down as one of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport?
Yeah. I think there's some type of mental and physical trauma that he suffered just from his last fights. I know he was always a guy who demonstrated that, he was tough and he can take punches. And towards the end of his career, he took, more than that was healthy. And I think that's manifesting now. I know there's a lot of memes out there and comments about him, but I think it's deeper than that. The way he's acting, and I actually kind of feel sorry for him. I mean, if I understand it correctly, it's his entire family has taken a restraining order out against him. And sadly, in today's world, that's what's going to be left. That's what people are going to know him for. They're not going to know him for the great fighter, the prodigy, and the amazing fights that he won, and licking its glove, after each fight, which I thought was just like gross, because you got, another person's blood and everything all over it. But he's not going to be known for that. He's going to be known for the person he is now. And I hope he actually gets the real mental health that he needs, because obviously something's going on. There's some type of damage up there.
No, that's kind of when I throw in the whole. My parents ask my daughter all the time, is it all worth it? And the
It is until it
answer,
isn't anymore.
sorry,
It is until it isn't anymore.
yeah. I mean, her answer is usually pretty quick. Um, to the it, I'm not stopping anytime soon, but
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's a warrior's mentality. That's
no,
also a young person who haven't lived through life. It's mentality also. I'm more than comfortable as Nilly grows up. She'll transfer from that type of physicality and see the bigger picture. But the truth is, no, they're not paid enough,
no,
especially women. There's not an end game for them. There's no insurance, there's no security, especially for women. And Neely's incredibly talented, but once she understands that same warrior mentality that she has, and she applies it to anything else, business or anything else, she's going to be light years
no,
ahead of being successful. And again, can't blame her. We all had that same mentality when we was younger. You fought,
yeah.
I fought
That's
at a certain level. I competed at a certain level when I was younger, up until my middle ages. And, I argue, was everything I've done worth it? I have to kind of, for me, say yes, because it all worked out. And I'm still able to make a living from that now. Most people, they can't.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to convince them otherwise when they're young and good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna be the hardest one to convince.
Yeah. I agree.
But
Agreed.
good luck to BJ and his family. It's his mother that actually has the original restraining order against him for order of protection for 1 year.
Imagine that. I mean, that's a baby that you carried for 9 months, that you took care of and changed their diapers. Life's supposed to be that when you grow up, you're dependent on your parents for life. And as you get older, your parents are now dependent on you for life. That's not the cycle of life that's supposed to happen. So again, I really hope that he gets the mental health that he needs, because obviously there's something going on up there, and it's manifesting through anger.
Well, let's ending on a positive note.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, another episode of Flex for Life with my amazing, multifaceted co-host Greg, my business partner, brother. I appreciate you so much, man.
This is
You
cool being
know,
on Spotify now too.
yes, we are on Spotify now, so you guys can check us out there. Just type in Flex for Life on your Spotify, and you can follow us and listen to us in your car while you do cardio or
Yep.
anything else. Put your headphones in and dial in. So please like, please follow, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. And if you have any questions or any topic that you'd like us to discuss, put down in the comments. That's it for another episode of Flex for Life. Thank you very much. See you next time.